So this camera is obviously looking right at you. I'm gonna be in the, I know, we're both gonna have to like
fix my posture.
Get that posture. But I figure this is a good way to do it.
It's a great way to do it.
I like these little stools. They're nice and low. I love the, are they green?
They're green.
Yeah.
I got a lot of green going on today. I'm a little self-conscious of it because I have green glasses, a green hat, and then I got a green shirt on under.
Yeah, you can't really tell about the shirt.
Good.
You're good. Where's the hat from?
This guy in Texas.
Work hard, be nice.
.com.
I like that. Because we care, hashtag because we care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a level 7 thing, you care.
Yes, I do.
You know what I'm caring about today?
You care about the discussion we're about to have.
I do.
Okay.
About this yellow and white truck.
I care a lot about that truck.
I bet you do. We're going to tell these folks why, too, because this is something that's been a long time coming. You and I partnered up, or our UBT partnered up with Level 7 Racing back in 2021 when you were building this truck. We put part 1 out that has sort of the full story, and Barry and I, especially who's behind the camera here, we wanted to come back and really put a not necessarily a bookend on this story, but really put some meat behind the story of this truck. The part that appeals to me most is that you were able to build it, you know, at least the iteration at the time that you wanted it to be, and so I think that's really cool. Can you give us just a quick highlight on this truck and kind of what you built it into?
What it is now and what it is sitting behind us is completely different than the first time you saw it.
That's true.
And completely different than maybe even what I could have figured. I mean, so was it 21 that you came here for the first time?
No, I think we came the first time in 20. But 21 was when you were beginning. Yeah, that's right. When y'all formed Level 7 Racing and you began really making it a formal thing and going out and racing the truck. So obviously all this work back in 20. We're going to show you this truck full chassis without the body on it. You'll obviously see us get some of the body on it here, so we're going to flash back to that here in just a minute. Really just wanted to get a high level of what this thing is and really what it's meant to you up to this point.
When I first was seeking out a truck, you know, the intent was that I could build a truck to autocross and race, and it would be a staple of Level 7. You know, like when people would see that truck, they would know, oh, that's the Level 7 truck, that's Jesse's truck, or that's what they do. And so it was always an association thing. So I sought out to build a truck, you know, and tie people to the business.
Yep.
And so I found that truck, and I don't even remember what year it was now. Maybe it was 14, 15, 16, I can't remember. But, you know, throughout the years, I just built that truck in very small steps. Yep. You know, it was just whatever extra money I had, you know, went into that truck. And, you know, it was in the early years of this business too, so there was very little money.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of extra to put into building this rolling business company.
Yeah, and even, you know, early years of this business, man, there may not have been $10,000 profit throughout the entire year of the business, you know, so it was really hard for me to find the money to get the truck up to being competitive, and it may have not even been that competitive, but you know, I had such a desire to learn how to make it work that we did have some success, you know, so I was resourceful and built a lot of relationships early on with that truck, you know, that helped me find some success, you know, whether partnering with Holly or Texas Speed early on, you know, there was some good relationships that helped me get that truck going, and, you know, and have a little bit of a program, you know, to get out there and autocross. And man, we built so many relationships with guys, you know, just individuals, and you know, in the companies, you know, it did exactly what I needed it to do. It helped me gain relationships, you know, and create association with the business and the brand, and all that worked really well. And then you and I got together, and I wanted to show you Level 7. Yeah. You know, and you came in here, and the truck, you know, was a big part of what Level 7 is. So, you know, you filmed a bit about the truck when it had the stock chassis under it, and then had normal 6-speed in it and everything.
I do better than that, though. He knows how to drive this thing. Oh, yeah. Man, that was awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed that. You can thank Barry for braving that. That was sick. I appreciate it, man. Yeah. That was sick.
I can't wait to see like the truck whip in front of me.
Yeah, dude, that's gonna be insane.
And then that's when Paul and I formed a relationship.
Yep.
Him and I had communicated on Instagram and then talked on the phone about building him a race truck.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pause you right there. Folks at home, if you want to know more about how this relationship formed with Jesse and Paul and really the whole synergy behind them getting together to build this truck, check out part 1. We got it linked down in the description.
After him and I built that relationship, ultimately, he possesses the truck now. He's the owner of the truck. We have raced it for him for 2 years, and then now it's getting ready to go back to him, and he's going to take possession of the truck. He's got a garage he's going to keep it in. He's going to drive around Texas and take it to some shows and continue enjoying it on his own.
Very cool.
Yeah, without the racing and without the competitiveness, just enjoying it as a truck. And he has a lot of nostalgia. He's got a lot of personal connection to a yellow and white square body. So there's a lot of stuff for him to be able to connect with this truck. So I'm excited for him to just be able to drive it and enjoy it.
Well, before we jump all the way to the end, let's flash back real quick. Probably almost been 2 years. It's when this truck had no body on it. Jesse and the team had just finished up the chassis, and he's walking Barry and I through every single component that's under the sheet metal of this truck. So we're going to jump back there. You'll see we throw the cab and bed on also, and Jesse kind of gives us a sort of a good comprehensive view of what he expects the truck to be. So we're going to jump to that footage. We'll catch you back here in just a second. Saturday, me and Jesse are having a couple cold beers. Cheers. And we're going to bring you an update on the yellow and white truck. You've seen us pick up the chassis. You've seen us pick up the motor, dyno tune it.
We saw that it made 730 horsepower.
Yeah. So that's awesome. But now we're back in Marion, Illinois. We're right here in Jesse's shop. And today we're going to be telling you all about what's been done to the chassis since you last saw it. But really exciting, we're gonna set the cab and install the bed today. I'm so pumped.
So I'm gonna get a little techie.
We like techie right here on
Okay. Recap, this is No Limits ProTech raised rail chassis with an independent rear suspension. Ooh. So nothing strayed wildly different from like an off-the-shelf chassis. The only thing that we did was, you go back to the video, but we got custom track widths a little bit wider.
Yep.
So that we could get scrub radius just right, and then we did a quick change and some other little things that just stray away from off the shelf, but all options that Rob's willing to do. One thing that we were able to do now that we have a dry sump motor is get the whole drivetrain really low. The whole objective with placement and everything on the frame was to just put the weight as low as I could get it, and then within the confines of the axles. So try to get it all centered and low. So the motor's really, really low. So this is ride height. So I mean, what, top of the fender?
Ride height.
Top of the fender is what, here or something? Yeah. So I mean, it's deep. Don Hardy, that's that 446 cubic inch motor. Behind it is the Sativ full sequential 6-speed. So Sativ is in France. There is a US branch of Sativ USA in North Carolina now. And then Bowler here in Illinois is also a US dealer for Sativ USA.
Oh, very cool. I actually didn't realize that.
Yep. So Mark and the team at Bowler are now a dealer for Sativ USA.
Very cool, which makes sense why there's a Bowler.
Yeah, so there's a Bowler sticker on it. So the way that it worked with this transmission, obviously I knew the benefits, I knew a lot of information about this, but then when Bowler started to become a dealer, this just made it a little more accessible for me and other guys like me, other shops. So where Mark kind of infused the market was he thought about guys like me that already had a T56 Magnum, and the next upgrade would be this.
Right.
So they machined the adapter. So this is like your typical LS T56 bell housing.
Right.
And then they machine the adapter. So when I call, you know, I order a C10, and then I spec all my gear ratios, you know, so you can pick every gear 1 through 6. This transmission I think is a 311 first gear and a 1-to-1 sixth. And then so once I give them the idea of what gears I think that I need, then Max and then say to France, they'll map all those gears.
Okay.
So they've got software where they can tell you like how many RPM drop you have between gears, how many mile an hour increase,
Very cool.
you know, how the gears will react to shifts, make sure it will really work. So they helped me dial in the gear ratios. They built that in France and then shipped it over here to the USA. And then Mark installs the correct input shaft for whatever application it is, motor's going in front of it, and then they put the, you know, ship you the adapter.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of process there. Really a very, very cool transmission. The only thing that we optioned up on that transmission is the air shifter. So we're using paddles on the steering wheel to pneumatically shift the transmission.
Which will show you the steering wheel here in a minute. I think it's sort of a work of art in itself that Jesse wired up, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But
the neat thing about what we're doing now is that, you know, we use the clutch to take off in first. You get out on the track and you pretty much keep it your foot to the gas, foot to the floor, and then you just tap the pedals. I mean, you never have to push the clutch, never have to let off your foot off the gas, and just keep tapping.
oh my goodness.
And then
really
even
cool.
on your downshifts, the ECU will rev match the engine to get it into the lower gears.
Wow.
So pretty wild.
Yeah, and I was actually, my next question was, what's the benefit or difference in going with a sequential over a T56 Magnum like you normally run?
Yeah, so in every gear in this is a straight cut gear, dog engaged, so no helical gear. So the gears are really strong, super fast shifts, no miss shifts.
Right.
So a piece that can be road raced all day, you know, and, you know, no miss shifts or anything like that. So pretty robust motorsport, you know, worldwide motorsport transmission.
And I'm still blown away by the size. And I know T56s are small too, but I'm used to looking at
This is
4L80s or something like that.
half the weight of a T56 Magnum.
Is it really?
Yeah, so this, I think they said this weighs 189, or I'm sorry, 89 pounds versus,
Wow.
yeah, versus 170 or
Wow,
something.
that is super light.
Yeah, so we have a picture on our Instagram where Dylan's literally holding it like
Yeah, like no problem.
yeah, so very lightweight, very compact, fitting under the high hump tunnel, no problem, even with the air shifter on it.
Very cool. We could probably stand here and talk about this all day.
Yep.
But there's some other really cool components that are just right here that I want to talk about.
Yeah, so to continue with the theme of just thinking outside the box and trying to place weight where I wanted to place it, that's where that gas tank came in. And then in turn, it forced me to put all the exhaust on that one side of the truck. So I think we talked earlier about the ideas and theory that were going into this fuel tank, but Fueled by AI is the new US branch of Aftermarket Industries. They're in Australia. They're fluid dynamic engineers. Their team took what physical confines that I gave them for the fuel tank and then engineered that tank as like an F1 tank. It's a 12-chamber tank.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally the highest technology in fluid dynamics and gas tanks that you can get. And they were really cool to work with me on that project. It was kind of a harebrained idea, you know, when I first said it. Old Chevy truck, you know, like 9.5 gallon fuel
I'm
tank.
sure they were like, what?
Yeah, so, but they were very, very helpful. And another piece that they make that's been really cool is these are the GM drop-in pump assemblies. So they make these for like modern Camaros, CTSVs, Mustangs, or whatever.
Sure.
And that's some of the new stuff that they're bringing into the USA. You know, they were big in Australia before, doing all kinds of surge tanks and stuff like that. But this is the drop-in that they make for the Camaro. And so we were able to just weld the ring and then just drop that in. And it's got twin Warborough 450s in it. That we got from Holly.
Yep.
One runs the motor, and then the other pump is redundant.
Okay,
so you know, if you're
backup.
Well, yeah, if we traveled, you know, 25 hours away,
right,
and we had a pump failure, the last thing that we'd want to do is try to get this in the air and try to get that tank out from underneath the truck. Totally can be done, but would be a pain. It would be annoying. With the Motec, we could set it up to where it would be automated. So if it did not see pressure and tried to cycle the pump a number of times, 4 times, however many we tell it, it could go to the other pump and run that pump.
Very cool.
Or I could manually switch the pump to, you know, with the PDM.
Right.
Yep. So there's redundant pumps, 12 chambers. There's a lot of thought into that. We'll find out how well it works, but at least right now, fit, finish, and functionality all seem perfect.
Does this motor just see a normal 58 psi like a normal LS? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyways, putting the fuel tank on this side, we wanted to put the heavier things on this side of the truck. You know, most of the time you'll be racing solo. You'll only have one driver. You know, my steering motor's heavy. You know, there's more weight typically on that side of the truck than there is this side of the truck.
Right.
You know, steering intermediate shaft. I mean, there's a lot more weight that's over there. So we try to put all the fluids on this side.
Yeah.
You know, so gas tank is on this side, oil tank's on this side, batteries on this side, battery cables are on this side, oil hoses. There's more weight on this side than there is the other side. So that's why all this stuff got put over there. And then it forced me to run a single pipe exhaust system, which I really, really like.
Yeah, I love the way it looks.
Yep. So again, with the dry sump pan, we've got all kinds of room under the pan. You know, I talked to Jim Browning at Ultimate Headers and told him about this weird idea of running the header under the pan. He sent these set of headers, and then we built to where the exhaust goes dual 3s and merges into a single 4. So there's a single 4-inch tailpipe all the way out. And then there's a lot of muffler. You guys can see there's a lot of muffler. And that's just trying to make sure that we aren't too loud for whatever track that we're going to be at. And then, as always, I like to build a straight tailpipe to where if it's still loud, we could slide a silencer in the tailpipe.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm not sure I knew that. Okay.
Yeah, so a hidden turn down is perfect for me.
Sure.
But if we're 1 decibel over,
right,
I don't want to stop racing for the whole weekend.
Right.
You know, so we have a slide-in silencer that you slide in the tailpipe, and it's got baffles in it.
Okay.
And then so it's got 1 bolt that holds it in. So then you would drop, you know, whatever it is, but a lot of them say that they can drop 2 or 3 decibels.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're right there and you get warned that your next one's going to kick you out.
Yeah, that's a good way to drop.
Definitely want to be able to slide that in. Yeah.
We're working our way back. We've obviously talked about the fuel tank, the exhaust system, which, gosh, the exhaust is just so cool. I think it's just crazy cool. But as we move toward the back, there's some really critical components back here before we even get to the IRS. You create and manufacture these battery boxes, and you use the anti-gravity batteries. However, this seems to be a little bit larger of a package. So why are you running a larger battery and bigger battery box than what you sell some of the other guys?
Yep. So it all comes down to storage capacity, and the way that they rate that is amp hours. Yep. So the normal ATX30 that we sell is great for most everybody, but it's got a storage capacity of 16 amp hours, which is fine, but the only time you run into an issue is, so say you're in Arizona and it's nighttime, you're at a stoplight. So if you had a lot of electronics, so dual fans, twin fuel pumps, lighting, air conditioning, you're probably still gonna be okay at idle for a long time, but you gotta make sure that your alternator at idle RPM has enough amp output to keep the battery charged. So you're not depleting charge faster than you're charging it back.
Yeah, got it.
So that's where that amp hour is your storage capacity. So this battery has 40 amp hours, so it has a lot of storage capacity.
Yeah, it's more than double than the normal ATX30, like you said, right?
Yeah, so there is an HD version of the ATX30. It goes to 24 amp hours, which is, again, awesome.
Right.
But we have electronic steering, so we have a big steering motor. So again, same scenario, you're at idle or you're in a parking lot, it's night, headlights are on, fans are on, pumps are on, and I go to turn lock to lock. At idle, that steering motor is going to draw 70 amps.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so there's not an alternator at idle that would produce that kind of amperage to keep that little battery topped off.
Right.
So I need to make sure that I've got capacity in the battery to pull amperage out.
Okay, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so if I'm stuck in a lot and I'm locked to lock, awesome power's out of there. I'm not just going to wipe the battery out.
Yeah.
You know, there is enough storage in that battery to do that before we get back up at cruise or at race, you know, or higher RPM level.
So I think one of the questions that we'll probably get from our audience is, your ATX30 and battery box is what, a 10, 11 pounds?
So the battery is only 5 pound.
So 5 pound? Okay. What is the weight of this set?
I think this battery is 9.
9, okay.
So this one's probably 16 with the box.
Okay.
Which is still
I mean, we're talking.
So the power of this battery is more than an Optima. This is almost 2 Optima batteries.
Right.
So this is a lot of battery.
And an Optima battery, a red top or yellow top, weighs what?
45
50 pounds?
48 pounds. Yeah, I mean,
so
they're very happy. Very happy.
Drastically dropped weight here.
Yep, and then this does have the restart feature, which is, you know, an anti-gravity thing. So if there is something drawing power, you know, a parasitic drain, or it sees voltage dropping, it'll shut itself off to save itself. So you will not have a dead battery.
Very cool.
So if there was a period of 3 or 4 months that this truck got stored, if there was some random electronic that was drawing power, the battery would sense it and shut itself off. So it would disconnect.
Sure.
And then you can hit the button on top of the battery to reconnect it, or this battery has a key fob.
Yeah.
So if this is in a spot where you can't easily get to, you can hit the key fob, reconnect it, start the truck right up.
So rad.
Yeah, it's funny that batteries have been the same for how long?
Right.
And then now all of a sudden we're different.
Yeah, something like I said at the beginning of the video that catches my attention all the time when I'm looking at a truck that's built like this and has a dry sump setup is the canister, the tank. Tell us a little bit about this dry sump setup.
So, you know, this is only because we have to have this now. You know, anytime you get to a certain amount of G's, I mean, a wet sump pan cannot keep the oil right on the pickup.
Right.
So there's a lot of guys this last year that they starved the bearings for oil,
right.
rod knocks or through rods. I mean, there's catastrophic failures from loss of oil, you know, at the pickup. So we're forced to run wet sump motors. So this runs a daily engineering pan. So it's a billet pan with multiple scavenge points.
And
external.
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's very sexy.
Barry and I were looking at it under, we were up under the chassis shooting some B-roll, and I was just like, that's a work of art in itself.
Oh, it's
It's
awesome.
beautiful.
Yep. So yeah, it sucks the oil out of the pan and it pushes it back into the tank. And then there's a high pressure pump that pulls oil out of the tank, shoves it through a filter, through a cooler, and then it forces it back into the motor.
Very cool. What's the capacity on this tank?
3 gallons.
3 gallons. Okay.
Yeah, and there's bigger. I mean, there's guys that run a lot more. You know, land speed guys that run, you know, miles of full throttle can run more storage. I mean, they run more oil than that.
No kidding.
But yeah, and then so also we put a heater on it. So, you know, we can run our generator, and then this plugs into a 110 cord.
Oh yeah.
And so we can go ahead and preheat the oil.
Okay.
You know,
So what's the benefit of preheating the oil and then running it through a cooler?
so you need to get it up to temp. So you need to get up to 160. And then this oil system has a thermostat on it too that it stays closed, so it won't run the cooler circuit until it gets to, I don't remember, 160, 170 or something like that.
Okay.
So, you know, when you're racing, you'll be up in the 200s,
right.
you know, low 200s. But like, you know, you don't want to show a motor RPM until you're at 160 degrees of oil temperature.
Okay.
Our tuner doesn't want 100, you know, 130, like don't get it over $3,000 until 130.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, you know, especially with these autocross events, there's no warm-up session to an autocross. So you need to, when you get to the track in the morning, kick the generator on, plug the heater in, and let this thing run for an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's actually something I've never even heard this.
So you know, that way you can get in and you're ready to run the motor.
Right.
You know, it's ready to race.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and so what we do is you know, they make remote primers that you can run to go ahead and force the oil through the motor before you run it.
Okay.
But ours, we just pop the belt off the pump, and we've got like a little electric ratchet, and we just spin the pump, and it'll force the hot oil all through the motor.
Very cool. Yep. Okay. I learned something new. I hope you guys did at home. That's something I did not know at all. Really slick bracket that's made to hold this thing. Is that something you made, or was that part of the kit?
Yeah, it's we made the bracket and then welded it to the chassis. But then these billet brackets come off. You know, we spec'd a rear sway bar. With this IRS, we're probably going to run a rear sway bar at all times. What we found a lot with solid axle trucks is that during autocrossing we didn't run rear bars or a very soft rear bar. So we think at least with IRS we will be running a bar at all time now. And then we've got different rates, you know, from soft to a little bit harder.
Sure. So I gotta ask, you know, and this is something that I don't really know the answer to, just like, you know, I learned some new information on the dry sump setup. What are the real benefits of going with an IRS for autocross or for road racing over, you know, solid axle? Yeah,
so the road course is where you'll see the most benefit.
Okay.
And the benefit you're going to gain is from the ability to dial in alignment.
Okay, that makes sense.
I could go way off.
Sure.
On this. I mean, sprung weight versus unsprung weight is a huge thing. So now the coilovers only has a little bit of unsprung weight, whereas a solid axle's a ton of unsprung weight. So in theory, the truck will handle better just from that. But on the road course, being able to run 1.5 degrees of negative camber and a hair toe in, the truck will get a lot faster from just the alignment difference.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
so just the tunability of it.
Yeah.
Just being able to dial it in.
No, so you got a tire straight up and down in the back. I mean, if you're 100 through a corner, you're going to try to roll over the edge of the tire.
Right.
So if you can get camber, you can actually plant on the tire.
Yeah.
Another thing is that we're running that Corvette C5 rear spindle.
Right.
So we can put a wheel speed sensor in it. This truck will have traction control. You have a brake packages that are easily acceptable.
Right.
Accessible.
And acceptable.
Acceptable.
Acceptable and accessible.
Yeah, and then obviously the biggest thing for us with that transmission is gear changing options.
Right.
So with a 1-to-1 6th gear, we need to be able to play with gear ratio depending upon what track we go to.
Right.
So
And
Road
this
America versus Putnam or something will
Right.
have, you know, different top speed. So we'll be able to dial in that with the quick change. I bought 5 gear sets for this, so we're anywhere from a 318 to a 369.
Perfect.
So there's some option that we'll have. And then you're just gonna have to play with it. You know, we might get into a position where we buy even more gear ratios.
Right.
Finite.
To fill a specific need.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta ask, and you probably know this question is coming because I ask it a lot. But what is your actual favorite part of this rolling chassis? Like, what is the thing that you're like? I'm just super excited about this. Yeah, I'm super proud. I'm super excited.
Man, I'm proud of the whole thing, but
well, of course you are. I am too, and I didn't even work on it.
I like things that I really put a lot of thought into.
Sure.
I like to draw from creativity and not just influence.
Right.
And that tank I'm really proud of. I love that.
And you're talking about the fuel tank. Not
the
fuel
fuel tank.
Yeah.
Well, I like the fuel tank.
Well, yeah, but
No,
the fuel tank is very
awesome.
impressive.
So the thing that I'm most excited to see the difference in is the balance of the truck.
Yeah.
You know, we had poor weight balance before. I'm excited to see how dynamic the change is by just, I mean, I won't be able to test that directly, but you should feel the difference in as there being a lot different weight position.
Right. Well, it is top tier. I mean, I think I've never seen so many cool parts on a chassis on an old Chevy truck. I mean, that's really it. I mean, you're taking all this modern technology, all this innovation.
So stupid.
But it's awesome at the same time. I mean, I love it. Barry loves it. These guys at home definitely love it.
Yeah.
And we're excited to see it too. You know, even you know the simple things like your cab mount for what it's worth, and from my limited knowledge of racing and putting trucks together, because we obviously don't put trucks together like this. But I'm excited to see how it all shakes out. I'm really excited to get your opinion of it, Paul's opinion of it ultimately. I'm very excited to see what this package can actually do.
Yeah, and so I'm sure there's guys out there thinking, well, this is stupid. This is only a single-use thing. Like that gas tank is stupid. But we're thinking down the road too. So Paul's not always going to have a 9.5 gallon tank. We're going to build a larger capacity tank too for, you know, street driving.
Right. Which is a critical part of this. Jesse and Paul have been thinking about from a conceptual standpoint all the way from the very beginning. This truck will also get some street use.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I can't just invest this cash to only do good in Optima Series rates. Right. This also has to do everything that it needs to do in 3 years from now.
Sure.
If he wants to take his wife to
dinner.
Yeah. So it will get a larger capacity tank. It now is getting carpet, a Bluetooth radio, air conditioning, all that stuff. So this will be a multi-use vehicle.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of some of the stuff you just rattled off in the cab, let's go over here and take a look at the cab. You can kind of point out some of the key things that are going to be going into it. Okay. Well, it looks like we're continuing the Captain Morgan Neil. What's the wheel and tire setup on this thing?
So these are the Forgeline GA3Rs. So we used to have GA3s on the truck before. We changed the back spacing a little bit from what we used to have, but I did want to run a little bit lighter wheel than I had before. All their wheels are light, but these are the open lug wheels. So they take and they machine all this area out of the center of the wheel, which removes a little bit of weight. These are a 3-piece wheel, so there's a hidden fastener all the way around that hold the 3 pieces. So there's the face, and then the inner and outer barrels that all bolt together. And they use titanium bolts in the GA3Rs. So a fresh set of forge lines. These are 18 by 11.5 all the way around on the truck. And then this season we're gonna try out these new Falcons. We're gonna use these for road race and autocross both. I think that they're gonna be
optimal on the autocross, and then we'll see how they do on the road course. But these are the Falcon RT660s. They're 200 tread wear, and then right now the widest they make in an 18 is a 315/30. So we have 315s all the way around. And then if we do change wheel and tire, or if we do change tires for the road course, I'll probably go to the RE Yokohama tire or back to the BFG. So we'll see.
Captain Morgan again. It's Captain Jesse here, everyone. All right, so we're taking a look inside the cab. Tell us what's going on in here. Not much, but a lot of important things.
Right. So there's not a lot in here right now, but there's so much effort in here. So look at the floor. The floor is different from your typical square body now. Typical high hump, and then on 6 speeds we usually stretch this area out if the floor doesn't have this for the end of the trans. But in this case, the No Limit chassis has a really high raised area in here for the center section of the chassis, and then this is a relief for our new fuel tank. So the fuel tank sits right underneath here. So that stuff's different. Had our friends at Hoosier Hot Rods re-Raptor line this when they did some of the paint and body work on the truck this time. We redesigned the cage to where it's removable now. Again, thinking 3 years in the future, if Paul doesn't want a cage in the truck, he doesn't have to have the cage in the truck. So the door bars remove, and the main hoop can be removed, and then the bed cage can be removed. He can just take it all out. We're going to put carpet in it now, brown German square weave.
That matches this.
Yeah, this is it.
Close to the back panel here.
It is it. It's the same. We just went ahead and did that before we bolted the cage in. I love it. I think it's.
Me too. Nothing like brown and yellow.
Brown and yellow. Brown and yellow.
Brown and yellow.
The biggest amount of effort inside this cab right now is the pedal assemblies, and then this is the electric steering motor, and then this is the column that we've built. The pedal assemblies is kind of where it all starts. So this is the Tilton pedal assembly that we sell. This is our 600 series pedals, but this is our bolt-in bracket. So any square body guy or 67 to 72 guy can buy this stuff from us, and you can bolt in race pedals. So this is our hanger and our pedals, but this one's been upfitted with the mount for the electric steering motor. So this has power steering, but it's not hydraulic. It's this electric motor that assists on the input shaft of the steering rack. So a lot of thought went into how to mount that, the angle to mount it, how to keep that motor cool. And then, you know, the input shaft, you know, we needed to make the column adjustable since I'll drive it, Paul will drive it, who knows who will drive this in the future. So Dylan and I made the column and then this column mount where you can simply just pull the pin and you can raise the column up and you can repin the column in different holes. Vintage air. This truck never had HVAC before because I didn't have any money. So again, since we're racing Optima Series, you know, one of the things that you have to score in is not only being competitive in the racing, but you have to score well in design and engineering part of the event. So if you don't have HVAC, it's you know, you don't get a certain amount of points. If you don't have carpet, you don't get a certain amount of points. So we're trying to max out all points in design and engineering so that we can score well in the whole event. And the truck would just be better with air conditioning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This carbon fiber dash is ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
It weighs about 1.5 pounds, I think. It's all exposed carbon. Zach Ingram and his guys at Fiber Forge made this for us. So we cut that dash out of that truck, cut the whole metal dash out and everything. I shipped it to them. They 3D scanned the dash. They rendered it, made tweaks in the software to make it all one piece. And then they bought a giant chunk of foam, 5-axis machined the foam, made a mold from that chunk of foam, and then this is the product that we've ended up with. And then we're gonna sell these dashes, but you know, we wanted something that we could get on and off the truck, you know, if we needed to get to the steering motor, if we needed to get to the HVAC, and you know, losing weight was also a big factor. So that's when the design of this dash came in. Some of the features that you see, you know, we talked about the Motec ECU and PDM. This is the CAN bus keypad for the PDM. So again, the PDM is the power distribution module. That's what applies power to circuits instead of having a fuse block or relays. So this is master kill for the battery. If there's an emergency, key on, start, interior or exterior and interior lighting, hazards. We can data log the ECU here. And then this is reverse, so we can, you know, put it in neutral and select reverse, and then we can actually back up with the sequential.
So rad.
Yeah, it's really, really, really neat. You know, you saw the HVAC evap box on under the dash. So this is their little billet controls, little slipstream controls. They're backlit. Again, light little billet controls. We're gonna put one more of their little billet vents right here. But we've got billet vents on this side of the dash.
And they are sexy.
They are very sexy. They fit the shape of this dash perfect.
They do, they really do. They look so good.
Yeah, so that's that. And then the radio will go here, obviously. And then our screen or gauges mounts to the column and kind of floats in front of this. And then this is to adjust the brake bias.
Where is the Motec screen?
It's in the other shop.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go.
Let's do that.
So this is the steering wheel. This is not what you asked for, but I'm
this is the other component that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, but this is the Motec dash, you know, so it's got a progressive shift light. And then it's got multiple pages of data that we could cycle through via the steering wheel, you know, so we can toggle through pages of data. Gauge cluster.
And this is a saw belt.
This is a saw belt steering wheel. Yep, the paddle shifters are from a place in Japan, Worksbell. Worksbell makes the paddle shifters. And then the other things that you see on this, you saw the electric steering motor. So this is how we can toggle through different steering maps. You know, so this one we can tune for high-speed road course, and then we could turn it to tight, slow-speed autocross course. So there would be different levels of assist. And then this is the amount of traction control that we want, or no traction control at all. Yeah, so this is a Autosport connector that will just quick connect into the dash.
Here, let me get a close-up of that because I actually can't see that. Oh yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so when you need to take the wheel off, you can just, you know, undo this from the dash, undo this from the column, and then you could, whatever, put this on your desk in your office.
Sure, so nobody can run off with the truck.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Let's put the truck together.
Yeah, I mean, all this talk about parts and, you know, cool stuff that's been done, let's go do some cool stuff and actually make it look like a truck. That sounds like a good idea.
It is. Oh, there's no turn signal switch.
What is it?
The turn signals.
Oh, very cool. Who makes the...
Motion Raceworks makes this.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so this is for that 1.25" column that they sell that we use a lot. And then that clamp for the Motec screen clamps to the 1.25" column. And then this is their ingenious turn signal. I mean, it's literally just a dual throw toggle with a fancy billet lever and everything.
Boy, does it look good.
Yeah, it's perfect, man.
And this is the old chassis that was under the yellow and white truck that you saw us rip around in, well, about this time last year. If you haven't seen the video where we introduce you to the yellow and white truck, you definitely want to go check that out. I'll drop a link down in the description. Can't wait to see this dry sump tank come up through this.
Peeking through.
Yeah.
Did you see it under it? They wrapped around the bottom of the bed too.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
Me too.
I think it'll be cool to contrast that chassis.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to see the yellow down on this chassis. It's gonna be great. Yellow. You know I'm from the South.
No, I got to steer in. Yeah, it's okay. It's light enough we can move it pretty easy. Too far. Chassis need to go forward, do you think, or how's it look?
Actually back.
And might need to go back just,
just
a touch. Yeah,
it needs to go back just about that far.
Yeah, we gotta come back, Jesse. Faux show. Still off?
Oh no. Yeah, how are we on the firewall?
We are we've got an LS7 head that is literally, I mean, I'd say half an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch from this side. And then you've got a fuel.
This back end needs to still.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
What'd you say?
Back end still needs to go over too.
Okay.
Oh, I think the chassis is in here cockeyed, like one, like the front is.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, let's just get her down a little bit.
Come on down.
Yeah. Keep going. Stop. Ready? Morse?
that looks like it might be good.
We'll take some.
Maybe a little bit more.
Can we try to roll the frame backwards a little bit? Barry? Oh yeah. I can't. How's the firewall? Ooh, there we go. Got it.
Got it? Okay.
We're just wearing those oil lines over there too.
Really? But hey, as long as you clear them. Well, there's that. Cab on, baby. And we're rolling.
Is it low?
It's low. I mean, it looks awesome too. I'm just gonna stay over here while you push. This chassis is beautiful. Can't wait to show you all this dry sump.
Man, how cool is it that it gets like another life? Like,
It gets the life.
yeah.
And you get to like help it live.
It's like
the
you're
life.
kind of doing okay, and then you marry like a rich girl that is cool and she makes good money.
Yes.
You're like, man, life got better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I was living before, but.
All right, man. It's out here in the sunlight. How'd it go?
Flawless, not a single issue whatsoever. Happened in 10 minutes.
Just like this video showed.
Just like TV.
Yeah, man.
No, it went good. It went good. The tailpipe that we put on, we cut it off. And that's really just simply because I threw that on for Pro Touring Truck Shootout just so people didn't ask me questions like, where's this tailpipe gonna go? And it didn't quite fit, so we'll have to tweak it just a little bit. But
You still plan on it going in that in a similar location?
There. I mean,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, man. Me too. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy with how it's setting. It's definitely lower than it was before.
Yes, it is by a couple of inches, I would say.
Tiny.
You can't see any tire, and you're definitely on, you know, starting to cover the wheel.
Just the tip of the rim.
Just the tip of the rim, man. Well, I dig it, man. It looks awesome. It looks so good.
You can see the brakes. Look at see the brakes from over here now.
Yeah, man.
Gosh, it's low.
It's low. Okay, so the one thing we didn't talk about inside when we were talking about wheels and tires are the brakes.
Yeah.
They're super important.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so these are Willwood's, they call them race brake kits, and they're for Corvette, since now we're running a C6 brake package, since we have C6 or C7 unit bearings front and rear. So those are the Aero 6-piston calipers in the front with a 14-inch rotor. And those are mil-spec anodized, so they let all the heat out of them, and they got thermlock pistons. And then those are the floating rotors, so they can grow radially when they get hot. And they kind of slide on the hat. So same thing in the rear, but those are super light 4-piston 12.8-inch rotors. Same floating rotor design in the back.
Very cool.
Yep. So this brake setup is just made for a lot of heat.
Which it will see on the
Yeah,
course.
they're gonna get hot.
They're gonna get hot. I like that. Dude, this thing has come to life.
Oh.
I mean, I know that, you know, we're not cranking it up and driving it yet, but man, I'm stoked.
Yeah, next time we're gonna be driving it.
It looks so cool. And I like how low it is. I love the stance.
I sure do too.
I think this thing is gonna look mean going down the road and definitely on the course and on the track.
Yep. Well, it's finally good to see all these bits and pieces come together.
Yeah, for sure. So what's next?
Wiring.
Wiring?
Yep. I got to build all the harnesses.
Okay.
And it's going to be time consuming because we're building every harness. So the chassis harness in the cab, chassis harnesses outside the cab. We're going to build the engine harness from scratch, all with Tetzel wire, you know, which is the mil-spec wire.
Sure.
You know, all Raycom loomed, so they're mil-spec harnesses all throughout the truck. So they're really time consuming, but they'll last forever.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah. And easy to unplug everything.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of that, can we talk about a couple of these little ports that are on the firewall?
Yeah, you know, I've talked about that stuff on my channel, but never with you guys before. So you can see there's 3 plugs. There's 3 of them, and they're Deutsch Motorsport or Autosport connectors. So the purpose of them is so that you can disconnect the harnesses quickly. You know, so there's another end of this harness that plugs in, and then a quarter turn locks it. So if you want to pull the cab, you know, both chassis harnesses can just come off and lay out of the way. And then especially cool when you want to pull the motor.
My favorite part.
Yeah, so this is the engine harness. So the engine loom, same thing, a quarter turn and the engine loom will come out. So we're going to run that loom this way. Instead of traditionally you run them around the back of the motor. So we're going to run it this way so that we can quick disconnect right there and just kind of lay it over the motor. You know, and that's why the oil hoses are long hoses up here. Again, we can undo the oil hoses and cap the hoses and lay them out of the way so we can get the motor out pretty easy and quick.
Yeah, I mean, just a really efficient way to set one up.
Well, when you take something apart over and over and over and over,
yeah,
you cuss yourself when it wasn't done in a manner that allows it to be serviced quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, such a cool touch, and you know, we're excited to continue to document this as it comes together, man. So thanks for having us in today.
Absolutely.
It's been really cool.
Glad you guys came.
Yeah, man. Okay, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode and this installment in the yellow and white truck Level 7 Motorsports series. As you can see, a lot of great progress done on this truck over the last couple of months, and even some good progress done today. We got the cab installed, got the bed on, we walked you through all the parts, and man, we're just really stoked on this truck. We think that this is the premier race truck build coming out right now. I mean, this thing has all the goodies, and I'm just so impressed with Level 7 Motorsports, with Paul, and how they've been able to put this thing together. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode in this series, and we'll catch you next time right here on United by Trucks.